40 minutes.
Yeah.
Bang.
And we are live. Welcome back to Aussies taking over the NBA. A little bit later, after we've just done our Eastern Conference overreactions pod, we're going to go through an Aussie quarterly review, go through some of the Aussies, the games that have recently been played, and just talk a little bit about the Aussies in general and how they're going along this season. Haven't had any guys drop out yet, have we? No, we've just had basically Bolden is the only one really that's gone down to the G League.
Yeah, Bolden, really not getting any minutes of Philly. Very much on the out, which I don't understand, but it is what it is. It's a pretty stacked team, no injuries, and at that position, and there's just too many backup players playing multiple positions. But yeah, he's the only one that's gone. Everyone else is playing pretty good minutes as well, except Thon, who's just been completely washed out of Detroit and is just taking that deep trash time role, which is bad because he was starting the season with some decent heavy minutes, but that seems to have just fallen by the wayside for really not much in the way of good players taking it. So maybe out on the edges with Dwayne Casey and not there next year, but. We'll get straight into the Spurs, who only played 3 games in this stretch, which is just bizarre.
Yeah, I'm gonna go back and double check. I've double checked it twice, but I'm pretty sure ESPN. I'm sure they only played 3 games. Last time we did the Detroit game against the Spurs, did they lose that game? I got it on the spreadsheet here. They did lose that game 132 to 98 against the Pistons. Since then, just going NBA Spurs. If this will just go. Yeah, since that game they played the Rockets, which was a win, 135-133. How on earth they put up 135 points is anyone's guess. And then the Kings, and then obviously today they lost against the Cavs. That Rockets win, man. Obviously some controversy in that game. Did you see that bucket?
The Harden dunk, went through and kind of went out again.
How did they blow that, man? How did they blow
Oh,
that?
I don't know.
I don't
I have no
understand.
idea. Well, I don't think they can replay it during the game, and it's not being called, so it's not a coach's challenge. So it's kind of like they can't stop the game and replay it, and they have to make the call there and then. So that's why I think they just, because they're refs and they were probably just not ball watching and watching elsewhere, that no one got that call. But the league did not uphold the Rockets' protest. So there you
Fucking
are.
fuck off, Rockets. You're not getting that at all. And
Nah,
plus, it was halfway
take
through
the
the
L.
game as well. Just eat the L.
Eat the L.
Some struggles at the end of that game, I think, for the Rockets. Obviously, Captain Thronehead, Lonnie Walker, just coming up big in that game, just torching it, going absolutely ham at the end of that game. Just could not miss, just buckets galore. I think we've missed that really with the Spurs this season. It's DeRozan is the guy that's supposed to do that, I guess. I don't know if their team really has one guy that's just supposed to take over and just hit everything in sight. 10 of 18 on the night, 28 points he finished with. It's like a siren call really to the Spurs, and just like, guys, you need somebody who just lights it up, shoots 4 of 7 at any, Bryn Forbes obviously lighting up as well. At any moment, they need 3-point shooters. 13 of 30 in this game. The Rockets shot 15 of 51. Still putting up just stupid amounts of 3-point shots. But again, the Spurs, it shows again that you need these players that just blast score, and that's what kind of keeps you in games, gets you back into games. This overtime having 20 points to 18 in this overtime, which was crazy. Actually, I think that's combined for both overtimes because it was 2 overtimes.
Double overtime.
But just, again, highlights San Antonio need some power scoring, really. They've got the defense. It's, not
They
great.
need a center.
But, yeah.
They need a center. They're definitely missing a center. Jakob Poeltl and Trey Lyles is just not NBA standard by any stretch of the means, and that's where they're kind of getting ripped a bit by some more skillful centers. They got a good wing against the Kings, who have been up and down. Paddy's been playing pretty well. 33 minutes, playing heavy minutes again, 33 minutes, 36 minutes off the bench, 28 minutes.
Mm.
13 points, 5 assists in that game, +8 on the night. For this stretch, he was neutral because did not have the greatest game against the Cavs today. 28 minutes, 10 points, -19 on the evening, which is not good. But the Spurs very much out of the talk of playoffs. Really, they're not anywhere to be seen.
Yeah, it's a worry, man. I don't think it's probably the first season where it's just like I don't think this is happening, man. Like we've had a couple of seasons where it was just like hang on, like pump the brakes. It's the Spurs, and then oh look there it is. Spurs just snuck back into the playoffs again. But I think this year, man, it could be that's it.
Could be wave bye bye.
Yeah,
Um, so we'll move away from the Spurs because that's a nice thing to do. We'll move on to the Suns, who have not had Bainesy for a significant period. And look, they're keeping around that 500 mark. They got a win against the Hornets, lost against the Magic, won against the Pelicans, lost against the Rockets, won against the Timberwolves, lost against the Grizzlies. So they're getting some dumb losses there, some good wins, obviously against the Timberwolves. But man, big balls, Baines, blasting buckets. 15 minutes, 12 points, +7 against the T-Wolves. 18 minutes, 12 points, +12 against the Grizzlies in a loss.
Grizzlies.
Grizzlies, yeah, it's late night.
But
Man,
man,
they really,
Baines like their heartbeat kind of rests a little bit on Baines sometimes in this team. Like he's one of their
yeah.
main leadership guys. I I I can't see like can you see the Suns kind of like galvanizing the team from this if you get what I mean, like it just feels like it's not sustainable like what they're doing really.
It's not sustainable. But is that Western Conference 6 to 12 strong enough to go with them if they can maintain that kind of 500 or close to that 500? Does 500 get them into the playoffs? And if it does, what is that going to give them down the stretch if Baines is healthy? That's the question. If they can actually get there and manage to do it, but there is really there's nothing sitting behind. I mean, we've still got to remember DeAndre Ayton should be back in the next 10 games or so. So that's going to add some depth to their roster as well.
True. And that's
So
actually
hopefully,
probably an important spot too. Like it's not necessarily like an important individual in this team. He kind of knits this team together, as that pillar center. Like really, when Bainesy goes out, it's kind of they don't really have another center where you're like,
Frank Kaminsky, but he's more of a power forward or could play power forward and maybe a bit better that way. But yeah, they don't have that kind of rim protecting or big mass body center.
and Check Diallo, and then Saric has played the tiniest little bit at center as well. And you don't want Saric playing center. Like he kind of operates more as like a flame throwing kind of stretch four.
Indeed.
But yeah, I don't know, man. This Phoenix team, I think they've surprised both of us. I don't think we expected them to have 11 wins out of the gate. I kind of put them in that sort of poo-poo platter area, more like the Warriors and the Grizzlies and stuff like that, where they're sitting at the moment. So I wonder if they can sustain it. I think they're going to win probably comfortably 25 games, but whether they win that many more than 30, I can't see it, to be honest.
Yeah. I don't know. I've changed my tune. I think they can get above 35. I think that they can sneak into the 8 spot, barring some Kings magic, and some Timberwolves consistency. Then they get it. But it's going to be tough, and it's going to be pretty tight getting to that 8 spot. But Baines is definitely an integral part of that, and I think they recognize that pretty strongly. Let's move on to the Mavericks. And did we think that they were going to be this good? Or this is a question. Are we dreaming or are they good?
I think they're good, man. But it's like, did you see this level in Luka? And you kind of did, like you saw it, but you weren't there going, this is the guy who's going to propel this franchise no matter what the roster is. Like we were looking at that roster just going, what do you do? Like why? Like that doesn't make sense bringing that guy in here. Like what are we doing with this roster here? But kind of turns out that moving in different directions, allowing Luka to play a more all-round role. Like I was listening to Simmons midweek talking about the Houston, where Luka's a better version of Houston because his on-ball stuff, he's doing things on the ball and not in isolation, if you know what I
Mm,
mean. Like they
yeah.
are isolation plays, and he's playing with a lot of ball dominant stuff, but it's not in isolation of his team. Like he's got weird guys there that seem to work.
It's quite a chunk lineup as well. You got some chunky players, and some guys that can get hot when Luka's not as well. That seems to be, Hardaway's has really good scoring games, but then if Luka's on and hitting 40 points, then these guys don't need to step up. I think Porzingis has been solid
Yeah,
and has been a good backup superstar, and that's what we didn't know if that was going to work.
that's
So
true.
hopefully,
That's probably one of the big ifs. Do you think he's been like better than you expected?
yes,
And I feel like that's important too. Like I feel like if he continues to integrate into this team, like the trajectory is going to go further. Like it's going to be more important to this team as he kind of integrates and gets better. If he continues on this growth trajectory, which I think is going to work a lot better for this team. And it was all
yeah.
kind of predicated on him coming back. Like you just never knew what he was going to bring until he's in the team. And I still don't think I think he's exceeding our expectations, but I don't think it's just like, wow, like he's going to take this team to the next level. I think he's still trying to find his role a little bit. But he's had a few really good defensive plays in the last couple of weeks. And at the same time, again, he still looks like quick, like swift for a big guy,
Yeah.
which I feel like starting to become more important now in this league as we sort of evolve. Like being
What's it's
swift and powerful is different to the yesteryear of you can just be super athletic and just dominate people, and that's part of your repertoire. Like I feel,
is this team
sorry,
is this team just not a mirror image of the Lakers with Anthony Davis and LeBron James? Kind of got like a ball dominant point forward with a strange, freakish ball handling, shooting center with some pieces around them.
well, it's the big difference between Dallas and the Rockets is the Rockets don't have centers like that can rim protect and shoot. Like that's the one thing you're looking for if you're the Houston Rockets. But at the same time, you're just taking the ball out of Harden's hand, and what's the point of that? Like he can't play off ball. You've got Russell Westbrook there who also is sort of struggling to play off ball. I'm doing air quotes, but I feel like Westbrook can find a spot to operate. You know what I mean? Like Westbrook's all right at going, I don't like it, but I can just kind of find my way into these little things. And Houston doesn't really have that shooter playing at 5, whereas Porzingis gives Dallas this spread the floor option to get guys out of the way of Luka, as well as being able to shoot the ball and create different kinds of offense. Because if you look at Dwight Powell can't shoot the ball, he's not a jump shooter. Maxi Kleber can shoot it. Boban can't shoot it. But you look at the other guys around, like the guards, and like you got Curry, Hardaway, Brunson could create his own offense. JJ Barea, solid veteran, creates his own offense. It's like it all cascades down in this lineup, whereas it kind of all cascades up to Harden for Houston, and it's like
Yeah,
that doesn't work. It's never going to be effective.
it's the Michael Jordan of the modern era, really. When you got to think about how much he's dominant on ball. The Mavs only had one loss. That was against the Kings, and we only saw Brokoff very briefly for 2 minutes against Detroit. So I definitely think that we may not be seeing Brokoff next year. Hopefully, he gets picked up by another team in actually that shooting role. We've always said he would look good at either the Celtics or the Bucks or a team where they're going to just whack him in the corner and tell him to shoot threes. That's probably going to be most profitable for him. Let's move on to
Just
the
quickly back to the LA comparison. Like LA have got so much like length spacing, like height spacing, like Davis, McGee, LeBron even as a crazy powerful forward who can create. Kuzma's got a fair bit of size for his position. Like I don't think Dallas has that. They've kind of only got one big guy who can do a bunch of things, whereas I feel like Davis and McGee
and Dwight Howard. You
and Howard too, man, has been really good. Like shout out to him, man. Like I almost am starting to get like you weren't a fuckwit 3 years ago and I just didn't like you. Now I'm kind of like, nah, fair play. You've changed your game. You've changed your style. I want you to do well now. Like fair play. You know, I didn't like the guy 3 years ago. I thought he was a massive douche after he left LA. Now I'm kind of like, no, fair play to him, man. He took some L's and now he's just like, I'm doing my bit for the team. So I kind of like that. I respect that.
Yeah, he gets back in and just doing it for the win, not for the paycheck anymore.
And
He's on
LeBron,
sweet
man,
FA.
LeBron, just the assist numbers are just ridiculous.
I know.
Lobs, just the amount of times he can just drive and create so much space in the lane and just be like, doop, and you're like, geez, man, how do you beat this? Scary, dude. Scary.
They did. The Mavs did in this round. They beat.
That's
they
true.
Beat,
They did. They
beat
did.
Lakers.
But how do you beat this in a 7-game series?
That is the most important. All right, let's move on to Philly.
Yeah. Splooge
yeah,
away.
Weird loss against the Wizards. Man, Simmons absolutely single-handedly destroyed the Cavs. Hit a 3 as well, which is pretty good. Plus 32 on the night, 12 from 14. Yeah, they're starting to get their offense a little bit better. I mean, these are tight games. They're not blowouts, most of them. They're tight games. But you just see in the final quarter, they're defensively going to be pretty unstoppable in the postseason if they play like that for 4 quarters or even play like that for 2 quarters. I mean, they just lock teams down. He hasn't been scoring in the last couple of games, but hasn't really needed to because Embiid's been pretty much on song. Seems like when Embiid's down, Simmons is up. When Simmons is up, Embiid's down. So it really doesn't matter. This is kind of the team as opposed to the individual. And, I see in the Philly forums that, all right, Simmons needs to be more aggressive. It's just like you have 4 scorers. Why do you need a 5th? You don't need a 5th scorer. You need someone to glue it all together defensively and make sure that the fast breaks are stopped, that the guys are tied down. You look at some of the defensive stats on Simmons, he locks guys down like no one else in the league, and he's just getting better and better, which is pretty cool to watch. But Philly, looking good, man. They're starting to head towards the top. I'm just waiting for that Bucks game. That's going to be awesome.
Does it feel like they're in rhythm yet, though?
No.
I don't think they are either, and I think they've got another gear to go to. It's regardless of Simmons' offensive game and the shooting stuff, and the can he work with Embiid? Can he not work with Embiid? Is it a bit weird? It kind of feels like it is sometimes. I'm just loving watching his defense this season, man. It's so good to watch and impressive for a guy to be playing this well defensively. It's an unsung part of a game that doesn't get praised enough. Like everyone goes for the, hey, he can't shoot. No one ever goes, dude, like how incredible has his defense become this season?
Yeah, exactly.
And it's not just individually, it's scheme defense, it's smartness, being able to lock guys up. It's just enjoying it. I don't even care if he doesn't ever take another shot again for the rest of the season. Just watching him out there on defense is fantastic.
There'll be a time where he's going to score 30 points a game, but that's not in this team, and it's not right now. So I think the championship is the goal, and then maybe the individual accolades after that. But let's see him play for Australia in the Olympics. I think that'll be a different story.
Quietly, he's just averaging 34 minutes over a game over this little stretch. Too many minutes, maybe?
Seems pretty durable. Seems like LeBron style durable and fit. Just runs the whole time. Some of the chase down blocks and pretty amazing. I don't know. Maybe he does take a rest, but he's pretty durable.
He's close to over this period again. He's close. I think he's averaging 16 points, 8 rebounds, and 8 assists. So again, close to another triple double in this little period. I think last time he was he at a triple double last time? I had it written down here. Very close, 11, 8, and 10. So again, keeping up that sizzling along, man, just simmering. He's gone from sizzling to simmering. He's just back on the boil, and man, it's been fantastic to watch.
It has been. It's been very, very good. I can't say anything higher. They're just on a good streak, and I look forward to them playing the Mavericks. I think they play the Mavericks pretty soon, so that'll be an interesting matchup.
They're playing the Pels. What's their schedule looking like? Let's have a look at that, shall we? New Orleans, Brooklyn, Miami, Dallas, Washington, Detroit. So the Dallas game in that looks like a big one. Then the Bucks. Sweet. So their games are kind of, like their big games are kind of broken up between trash. Miami's going to be a tough game, but they've shown they can dispatch them. Brooklyn will be an interesting game, a kind of grudge match from last season. Maybe the Nets might try and get something. Then Washington obviously took an L against Washington, but they're a team that you'd expect to beat. And then Detroit you'd expect to beat. Then the Bucks, Orlando, Miami, Indiana, Houston, and then OKC, Boston, Dallas, sort of going towards early January. So this little run here might be, might be a test, maybe.
Maybe.
Some big games littered against some games you probably should win. Philly should win.
Well, that's it. They've also had a massive home stretch as well. So this is about time they get on the road and actually start getting some W's instead of just winning 13-0 at home.
Yeah, they're unbeaten on the road. Unbeaten at home, rather. It's good to see they're one of only two teams that are unbeaten at home. Anything else we need to talk about for Philly?
No, let's move on to the Jazz, the terrible Jazz. Just
hard to watch, man.
Mediocrity.
Really is. It's bad. I don't know, man. I'm looking at Ingles and just being like, I can't watch Ingles like when he's like not like this, man. He kind of looks old and slow. He had a good game actually. Yeah. Who was it against? Just recently.
T-Wolves, yeah. They got the W, 23 point season high, 5-5, +2 on the night. They also had a good win against the Grizzlies, but just inconsistent, not beating the big teams. Mike Conley just doesn't look like he fits yet. Still,
it's a worry, man, because that's for a veteran like that. You're expecting him to come in and fit straight away, really.
You are. I mean, what do you think of Exum's return so far?
He still looks like he's nursing it a bit, man, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like, really just can't get injured. And you're kind of like, how much is that really? How much of your comeback and your sort of returning to fitness and returning back into rhythm really is that? When to me it looks like he's playing very just, I can't rip one this way or that way. Like he's had a couple of plays where he probably forgets about it and just, I can do these things because I'm not thinking about the injury. But he's had a few plays where I've seen him sort of like break and then kind of go and then hesitate a little bit, and that's just enough time for for an offensive player to go past him, and where I've just gone, that's interesting to see that. Like, ooh. So I don't know if this season's kind of a write-off really for him, whether he just returns back to being the sort of deeper guy that just tries to get his body right. But yeah, I don't know, man. It's a bit of a worry.
It is a worry, but I think as well, we've still got 60 games to go. There's some deep runs to had, and you'd expect Jazz to make the postseason. So there is still time to play yourself in.
And he's signed on too, so it's not like,
there's no pressure, I say.
He's the worst that can happen is he gets traded, really.
But this is the thing as well. Is like, where is the Jazz going? Are they in a winner title? Are they not winning a title? Are they just happy and content being Mormons? Like, I don't know. What is their purpose? What is your purpose?
What is your purpose? I don't know, man. It just they kind of. Does it feel like they're wasting Donovan Mitchell a little bit?
Yeah, it just feels like they're kind of just plodding along. And then they get to the postseason, a couple of them get injured, and then it's all over. It's happened literally the last 2 years.
And that's usually against the Rockets.
Pretty much.
Bogdanovic quietly is looking good.
Looking good. Yep. Good acquisition.
Solid.
But again, just right-handed Joe Ingles.
Exactly, yeah. It's just, I don't know, man. I feel like they're wasting Donovan Mitchell, even though I don't think Donovan Mitchell's meeting, there's a way for him, like a ways for him to go to get out of this, scoring first mentality where he just sometimes takes some really bad shots still. And
yeah.
Just like, dude, what season are we in? Like, what's going on? Like, why are you still taking these bad shots? Can you evolve out of that soon? So
we'll see.
I don't know, man. It's hard to watch. But what do you reckon? Have you watched much of Ingles? Much of Exum rather?
I've watched a little bit of Exum's game so far.
He looks about 60% to me, man.
Yeah, he doesn't look like he's right. He doesn't look like Quinn Snyder's really ready for him to return, and it's just playing him in some limited minutes that are non-threatening or non-intensive, I would say. But with Mike Conley out, he's got to get back into it at some stage because that's the time that you really want him in there, running things and getting back into his point guard duties.
Yeah, they're gonna need him. How long's he out for, Mike Conley?
Who knows?
He's definitely out in terms of this depth chart on ESPN. Status out. News. Have we got any news anywhere? News. Click the news tab. Lopsided road trip, etc., etc. Nothing. Nah, it doesn't really say. I'm just going to Google Mike Conley injury. A lot of
I think it was
hits.
hamstring.
Conley to miss 4th straight game.
Hamstring?
KSL Sports, what do you got? Hamstring strain against Philly.
Probably 2 to 4 weeks, depending on how bad, especially at his age as well.
They don't really have depth. Sorry, they don't really have depth at point guard either.
They don't have depth in their team, full stop.
That's true. Oh, man, that's all right. We'll continue to watch. I still like Joe Ingles, even though I think he's taken a step down this season. It's definitely sort of after that big off season for Australia. I think he's taken a step down. We'll have to wait and see how he goes sort of towards the back end of the season. Now we'll move on to the Detroit Pistons.
3 out of 5 this stretch, not bad. Baker getting some pretty poor minutes. 2, 5, 3, 6, 3, 2. So deep trash minutes, all just like that before halftime. Rest minutes. Blake Griffin not playing particularly well, but Luke Kennard playing well. Derrick Rose playing well. Andre Drummond playing okay. So they're getting the wins against the teams they should. Lost to the Bucks and lost to the Mavs, but beat the Pacers, Pelicans, and Cavs. So that's a decent effort. There's talks of Blake Griffin being put on the trading block. I don't know, man. Do you trade him? He's pretty old. Like, what do you get for him? What do you want for him? Who picks him up? He's too old and injury prone.
And the salary that he's on, like, it's not like he's shiftable really as well.
Not really, no. He's on the max, isn't he, for another 3 years, I think.
And they've got a bit of a bad stretch coming up. They got Houston, Washington, Toronto, Boston, Chicago, Philly.
Yeah, you don't expect many wins in that stretch.
But should we just talk about Thon Maker? Like, man, I want to see him. I want to see him kind of return to that sort of hype that he had at the Bucks. But looking at it, it's like, how much further back in the teams can you go, really, before you're starting to be like, there's no spot for you here, man. Like, you know what I mean? Like, from the Bucks down to the Pistons, you're like, okay, that's a big step down. Time to really, regroup in your career. But then from the Pistons, like, how far down can you really go from there?
You can go to the Cavs. Or go to the Knicks. It's where all good roaches go to. Good NBA players go to die.
Yeah. Or the Warriors.
Yeah,
go to the Warriors.
Could go. You'd have to think, because he's still on rookie deal, isn't he? So he would be.
This is his last season.
So this is his restricted free. He'd be a restricted free agent after this season. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't think the Detroit Pistons pick him up, or if they do, it's going to be strange.
It's so he's going into What's going on? Thon Maker signed a 4-year, $11 million contract, guaranteed. What's up with that? That's still rookie, isn't it? Oh no, the qualifying offer. Yeah, okay. So 2021 at the end of this year. So going into next season is when basically you become a restricted free agent. His qualifying offer is $4.8 million. I don't know if you're Detroit, I don't think you're going to pick that up, man.
No, neither do I. I think that you can probably draft some better depth at the 5, although there hasn't been that much in terms of quality at the 5 or 4 of late in terms of drafting. So
Mike George, his agent, is going to have to do some. He's going to have to
serious
pull off
selling.
some serious negotiations, I think, to keep him in the NBA. And that's not even trying to throw shade, eh? Like, I don't want to be the guy that comes on a podcast and is just like, man, like, he could be out of the league and be wanting to portray that as, you know, throwing shade or being negative, but yeah, I do really worry because I think he's talented, but how much further? I just look at how much further he can go, just slip down before. You know, there's no other team that's going to pick him up. Really, it's a
Does he
worry,
make an
man.
appearance in the G League? That's the thing. Do we see him just in the G League, hanging in the G League, trying to get back up, playing some heavy minutes? You don't know.
What's Detroit have a G League team?
I don't know.
The the Detroit, the Grand Rapids Drive,
Okay.
the Grand Rapids automatic transmissions. Um, yeah, I know, man. It's a worry.
It's kind of just to watch this space.
Yeah, I think quietly he may not even get picked up.
We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, and
Injury
then the
could still give
Cavs.
him
Do we
some
have
more
to talk
minutes.
about the Cavs? Just
I don't believe so. They
L's.
won against the Spurs.
Yeah, which was weird. Like, what's up with that?
They, maybe someone told them they're playing for their contracts. Who knows? Spark, a jolt into them. Delhi just quietly having a really pathetic season.
So now we are throwing shade on one of our
No,
veterans.
I'm only joking.
No, we can throw shade.
Can we throw shade?
Yeah, he's a veteran. He's been around the league a long time.
It's time to develop a shot or quietly exit stage left.
But he reworked his shot, man. He's
Yeah,
reworked it.
this team doesn't even suit Delhi. Delhi's a facilitator, and this team is all isolate. So, get Delhi on a team that actually moves the ball as a backup point guard.
Do you remember when we were sitting here prior to the off season with the Aussie World Cup, and you were like, Delhi's remodeled his shot, man. And then in those preseason games, it was just like, this looks all right. Like, it's higher, it's less garbage canny. Like, this is good. And he was decent, I think, in one of those preseason games, and I think he had a decent game in the first World Cup game. And since then, it's just been garbage. Like, it really has been like
Doesn't translate
not
into
even,
NBA length.
but not even like, not even haha like your shot's back to where it was. It's just like, whoa, like you're working on your shot and it's died. Like, what's up with that? It's just weird. Like, it really is weird. Like, how can you be like, I'm remodeling my shot, and then it disappears from there? Like, surely you go back or something, or you arrest the slide of how bad your shot gets, or I don't know.
I don't know.
Like, what's up with that?
Or you just been told that you're taking 1 3-pointer a night, and that's all you do, and you never get anywhere really. So,
Well, he's averaging. He's shooting. So we've got like 0 of 4, 0 of 4, 0 of 2, 0 of 1 to start the season. Then you got 0 of 1, 1 of 4. Finally makes his first make in the 6th game of the season. His 6th game, 8th game of the season. 0 of 1, 0 of 0, 0 of 1, 0 of 0, 1 of 2. So he makes his second, 13 games into the season. 0 of 2, 0 of 0, 1 of 4, 0 of 2. So it feels like he started out shooting them. Now he's like, I ain't shooting them. 1 of 4, 0 of 2. So he's made 3 threes this season.
just completely
4 threes this season. Just gone.
Just gone.
10% this season. As a career 37% 3-point shooter.
Yeah, that's terrible. That remodeled shot just did not work.
Nah, disappointing.
Yeah, it is a little bit. It's sad to see the fall of the Cavs, and they've just fallen so far.
The LeBron James suck zone.
The vacuum.
Remember that when we were like, man, he's going to leave and that whole thing's just going to go just get the juice sucked out of it. All right, should we wrap it up now?
Yeah, let's wrap it up.
Anything else we need to talk about? Aussie, decent little stretch from the Aussies, I think. We've got Simmons just absolutely flying. I think he's going to be our crown jewel this season, watching him this season. It's a shame we're not seeing any of Brokoff. Bainesy, I think, most improved. Like, he's just been phenomenal. Like, as long as Touchwood, he stays healthy. Spurs, look,
Paddy's good to watch,
Paddy's
but yeah.
good to watch, but the Spurs are not good to watch. And then, yeah, we're worried about Thonmaker, and then the Jazz, Exum and Joe Ingles kind of, got a little bit of work to do, I think, towards the middle and sort of
Yes,
early back end of the season, yeah.
think Jingles has got to step up to the plate and start. I don't think the bench role suits him at all. So hopefully he gets an extended run on the starting lineup and starts bringing it back home.
Can you see him going anywhere else? I can't see him going
Nah,
to any other
he's just
franchise.
signed an extension. He's just signed an extension.
Yeah.
He'll retire there. Hopefully, he comes back and plays in the NBL, but he'll retire at the Jazz.
If he could handle the ball more, he just seems to like that ball handler role, but they don't have another big that can shoot the ball that well. That's the biggest problem. So, all right, well, we'll wrap that up. When will you be back?
Next week.
Next week?
Yep.
More NBA. That's Christmas next week, man. What are you talking about?
Oh, it's the week after Christmas.
Is it? Oh, man, I wish it was Christmas this week coming up. Hasn't come quick enough. All right, we'll wrap that here, and we will be back next week for more Aussies taking over the NBA. Thank you very much for listening. Like, share, and subscribe on YouTube, Facebook, iTunes, Podcast Addict. We're on Twitter, and yeah, we'll see you guys on the next episode.
Peace.
Peace.